Hello everybody and welcome back to Believingbruce, the body language guy. The channel where we help you get inside your own head so you can think, feel and act that little bit better. Body language, performance psychology, mental health, well-being, anything to do with the head and heart. If you're interested in that, subscribe to this channel because I am the man for you. So the areas of interest that this video will look at is, will Deontay Wilder adopt a different technique, as he's saying potentially, to dismantle Tyson Fury? And will Tyson Fury go for the KO, the knockout, against Deontay Wilder? All will be revealed in this Believingbruce body language video. But before we get into that, a quick one. I've hit 30,000 subscribers. 30,000 now. I know that might not seem like a lot to some people watching this video. On a Saturday night, I can't even get a friend to go out for a pint with because we're all dads and one person. We're all dads and granddads now. So 30,000 subscribers, I mean, this is phenomenal. So thank you very much if you've subscribed, and if you haven't, please subscribe below and join me on the journey of me trying to educate people around body language. And also I think on the next video what I'll do is let me know where you're from below. It always makes us giggle, but yet very humble, very, very humble as well. That like this has got a global reach, because a lot of body language, yes, it differs from culture to culture, but there's some similar stuff that, you know, actually spreads across the world regardless of culture in relation to body language, that people can tune in and get used to and also explore to be more in tune with themselves and the people around them. So let me know where you're from below, and I think for my next video I'll just do like a gratitude appreciation video and just show some of the comments that I've had from when this channel started, good and bad, but also some of the global reach that I'm achieving as well. So very humble and thank you very much is my message for 30,000 subscribers. And also what I would like to say is that join me on Twitter and Instagram, because what I'm after now is I'm looking at different genres, different areas. If you see something that's popular, that may be interesting of other people from a body language perspective, drop us a message at Twitter, drop us a message at Instagram. You know, obviously I can't be out there all the time noticing everything that's probably worthwhile. So this one, the Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. Is it Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury? Is he the champion? He's the lineal champion? He's the WBC champion? I'm not too sure. Okay, but this was the press conference for the return fight, for the rematch, of which it could be called controversial from the first fight. Did Tyson Fury make the counter? No. Did Tyson Fury win the fight on points? Regardless, it was a draw. Which makes the rematch more interesting. So from a body line, I was getting messages, Bruce, do this video, you need to have a look at this. And I thought, right, okay, I will. And actually, because I'm a fight fan, what I should be doing from a YouTube perspective is putting this video on nearer the fight. Yeah, I should have been putting on, in fact I probably should have done it when it first happened. But because I'm actually a fight fan, I'm not even bothered about the views. It's probably rare you hear a YouTuber saying that. I'm generally not bothered about the views. I've really enjoyed making this video because I love analysing fighters. But a lot of the stuff around here was about there was nothing much to see. Both fighters were being very friendly. You know, Believingbruce, from a body language perspective, there's probably not much you could analyse or draw out or, you know, raise our awareness to. Oh, brothers and sisters, enter stage right, Believingbruce. There's always stuff to pick out and analyse, sometimes even stuff that the fighters don't even realise that they're doing, that people that I'm working with one-to-one on high-performing teams, that they don't even realise they're thinking themselves until the magic of body language and psychology is presented to them in a way that they get the light bulb moment. Body language, comfort, discomfort. What are they saying versus what is the body doing at that particular time? That's what we're looking for. Let's get into it. So you'll see this little first clip that I'm going to show. When the camera first pans onto Deontay and Tyson, they're both sitting in what's called a shield position, where they are sitting with their legs crossed. And again, so although they're and I'm so happy for that they can actually show the legs here, because the legs and the feet give so much away from a body language perspective. So much away from a body language perspective. But what you see here is, although the top part, the thoracic area, looks relaxed and comfortable, you'll see that they've both got their legs crossed.
Get started, Tyson. I know you don't like little chairs. You told us that at the last press conference. I get it, you're a big guy. Is this one up to your standard?
And again, you could say, well, actually, they might just be comfortable, and they might be. But if I was there, I'd be digging a little bit deeper if I was doing the question, if I had to, if I thought it was going to bring some value. But they've definitely got their legs crossed, which acts as a defensive shield from a body language perspective. And again, you'd probably expect that, because remember what we're talking about here is the context. They are just about to fight each other. They would be right, they would be normal, if you will, average. It would be common for people to be a little bit wary, a little bit defensive of the person who is literally going to try to knock them out. And then what we've got here is that the power of words. So remember, when body language comes into it, body language is about what they do and what they say. But I just wanted to utilize this one example of what Tyson Fury says here. And he's trying to explain about the lineal championship. And Deontay Wilder is doing a really good job of digging him out. He is really saying, well, there's no belt, you know, apart from the one that holds up your trousers. There is nothing that you've got to show me. You've fought 12 championship rounds, and yet this lineal belt thing, is it a myth? Can I grab it? Is it just smoke and mirrors? And Tyson Fury uses the power of words not only to disarm Deontay Wilder, but to put him into a defensive position by mentioning religion, which is what both of the guys are very passionate about. And I think this is very quick-witted by Tyson, but also very, you know, it's intelligent, it's intellectual, it's very clever, it's very technical, because he says something that Deontay Wilder cannot argue with, and you see the reaction where Deontay goes into his shell.
So what a lineal? The lineal, I carry it around in my presence.
Oh, okay.
When you look at me, you're looking at a lineal.
Visible,
champion.
and I have a 12-round championship fight for nothing we can't see,
100%.
nothing we can't feel.
That's why it's on the
We
line.
can't even get emotional attached to it. We don't even know. She ain't even pretty.
Well, the thing is, you don't need to see something to believe it's real.
No, that's
we
true.
both know that, don't
That's
we?
true.
So,
That's why we
yeah.
believe in faith, right?
Good man. So the lineal championship is sort of like faith to boxers. Can't really see it, but we know it's there. And if you believe it enough, good things will happen.
I heard that.
And you know, we're both on agreement on this thing.
Yes.
So when he mentions religion there, you see that really affects Deontay, because he's like, oh, Tyson Fury has almost shackled him by the words that he's used. He can't get out of it. Now it's interesting here, because what we start getting into is, does Tyson Fury really, truly, authentically, genuinely, and 100 of the words that you can, like, does he really believe that he will knock Deontay Wilder out? And this is the response, so I just want you to look at it, and then I'm going to bring in a little clip here.
Purchase this pay-per-view. It's going to be incredible. In the last press conference, you said that you will knock him out in 2 rounds. Do you stand by that statement?
I stand by that statement wholeheartedly. Statement wholeheartedly. Statement wholeheartedly.
Remember, with body language, what we're looking for is that T-junction. What do they say and what does the body do at that particular time? 2 seconds before, 2 seconds after, but around here, what is their body doing? And although Tyson might have looked confident when he said that, what I'm going to do is show you what's called the eye block. When he answers, he actually does this. Now Tyson, especially at the start of the interview, when she's asking him about what derogatory terms did they, and if you haven't watched it, just like watch it back on YouTube. I think he has called Deontay Wilder a pussy or something like that. But Tyson Fury's struggling to understand it, and then she's asking a question, and it goes a bit awkward because nobody really knows what anyone else is saying. But Tyson Fury is staring directly at the interviewer, the host, if you will. And his emotional baseline is he blinks very rarely. So when Tyson does blink, I'm looking at something that, okay, what was he saying right at that particular moment? And when you see here, when he says about, yeah, I believe wholeheartedly, you see there's an eye block there, which is above his emotional baseline. It's above where he blinks. So when he does blink, it's not the fact, yeah, he could have something in his eye, but it's the fact that what he says at that particular time, coupled with what he does, there you've got your behavioural cluster. So that blink there, he's almost trying to eye block a vision of what he sees. Does he really believe that he can do it? That blink would be enough for me to think, okay, let's start digging a little bit further. Now this is the first bit where I see Deontay Wilder looking a bit uncomfortable, and it's fine to look uncomfortable. It's fine not to be great at the verbal stuff. It doesn't always translate into who's great verbally then wins the fight. It's only great if your verbalization can impact the thoughts and feelings of the other opponent to an extent where you are detrimental to their performance on fight night. That's where you can say, oh, that worked. But what we see here is a very authentic, a very bit of a timid, if you will, Deontay Wilder in a face-to-face situation where he's not fighting, where he's having to hold space, where he's having to have that conversation, where he's having to say something that potentially he feels awkward or uncomfortable about saying, because you see him talking, and then when the woman asks about, well, do you really think Tyson Fury's got pillow hands? You see Deontay Wilder look down, he shuts his eyes, and then he closes his eyes when he's saying it, and then and this is for a long period of time, and then eventually he opens his eyes again. Now again, from a body language perspective, what this indicates is like, I'm almost closing myself off so I don't have to look at you, therefore you're not really there, therefore I can verbalise what I want in a bit more authentic way without feeling that awkward feeling. That's what he's really saying. So it's interesting where you've got this sledgehammer, this warrior, this in fight, we get the bronze bomber coming out, but yet in the face-to-face he's not really that comfortable. And again, towards the end of the video, I will show you another example of this.
He's a skillful fighter, though. You know, you can't have it all. People say I don't have skills, but I have the punch.
Does he have pillow hands like you really said?
That's what I felt at the time. You know what I mean? It's adrenaline rush in all jokes aside, it's adrenaline rush in the rings.
And then it switches from this pillow hands to they're asking about, you know, Tyson, can you really knock Deontay out? And you'll see Tyson does something here which is called self-soothing. Self-soothing. And what he does, he says, whether or not he thinks I'm a great puncher or not, and at that particular moment his hand comes up and he rubs himself like this. I've got to come up with other words than to rub himself. If you've got any, how can I better explain when somebody touches the knot? How can I better explain touches themselves? How can I better explain when somebody rubs themselves? When they stroke themselves. Let's go for that. But you'll see as he's talking about, remember, what he's saying, what his body does at that exact time. He says whether he believes it or not, and then he starts about his punching power, is that he's actually soothing himself there. An assumption would be, again, because you can't tell anything until you dig that little bit deeper. But actually he's questioning, like, he's needing to soothe himself when he's talking about his ability to knock people out. There's definitely that self-soothing going on here.
So when you underestimate another one's power, you usually come unstuck. But I'm happy he thinks I'm a non-puncher, and it's fantastic, you know. But whether I am or I ain't a great puncher, this a great puncher.
Seeing people were saying this was boring, there's no body language. There's tons of body language in the Believingbruce world. And on that note, if you are enjoying this channel and about body language, or you want to see some more body language videos in the future, please subscribe. It really helps support my channel. And this is interesting because the next one that we see here, we've got like the sort of screen, and I'll bring it up here. But Tyson, where they've got two of them, so there's a bit of a clip going on. Deontay's on one side, Tyson's on the other, and Tyson's on about the changes that he's made, which is really interesting. Again, I could probably make another video on that, probably will do. But he's on about the changes that he makes, and he references George Lockhart, the nutritionist guy, and I believe George does nutrition for a number of athletes. But what he's talking about is that he's made all these changes, he's brought George in, the nutritionist, he feels better, but we'll see on the night of the 22nd. And what happens here, and you'll see Deontay Wilder with the back of his fingernail scratches himself a few times. I'll just show the clip.
I'm going to bring him in. Well, I brought in George Lockhart, the nutritionist, and I feel like he's doing something. Well, we'll find out on February 22nd.
We will.
And I brought Sugar Hill in. We're working on some stuff in the gym.
Now that there is not a self-soothe. Self-soothe would be the finger, would be what Tyson did before, the rub, the inside, if you will, the flat of the hand, the nice part. What Deontay Wilder does here is a scratch. He's irritated. That's something you're scratching away. When someone talks about you don't like it, scratch yourself with the nails. And it's important to note that the nail done that, not the other way around. God, I'm good. You wouldn't want to play poker against me. So because it's the nail, it is irritation. I just wonder, is he seeing Tyson taking this seriously with the nutritionist and ramping all this up? Is that irritating him to the point where he's thinking, actually, I would rather it was the old Tyson, the one who did drink 600 cans of Diet Coke every training camp, turn up there? Is that something where he says Tyson's almost got a positive, an advantage, because he's taking his nutrition, etc., more seriously than he was? But there is definite a scratch there and irritation. And then we go to a slight irritation with Tyson Fury here, because he's asked the question, what did you think of Deontay Wilder's KO over Ortiz? And what you see is, remember, at that moment they've been sitting in exactly the same position. And what Tyson does is he changes his legs. He changes his leg position. Now you could say, oh, well, he's just uncomfortable. And he may well be. But remember, with body language, he's being asked that question, and that very specific time as he's answering, that's when he changes. And now, because it's that, because you've got that cluster, that combination, this is what we explore.
To really enjoy your jobs. I'm curious if you enjoyed Deontay Wilder's performance against Luis Ortiz.
Great performance. He did everything he was supposed to do. Great performance. He did everything he was supposed to do.
And generally when you move your feet or when you move your legs or when someone stands up, I mentioned it in the Donald Cerrone when he was in the press conference with Conor McGregor, is that he stood up. Cerrone never stands up, but that is an adrenaline surge. And I believe that's what we have here, because when she starts asking about what did you think about Deontay's KO over Ortiz, the amygdala goes across to the hypothalamus, and because of these connections, the hippocampus stores that memory for Tyson where the boom right hand and the left hand come in the 12th round. And because of what she's doing, she's talking about Ortiz, But what Tyson's doing, what his brain's doing, he can't help it. He's just automatically linking it with that experience, that harmful, that hurtful, that uncomfortable feeling, which is why the amygdala fires, which is why it goes to the hypothalamus, which is why it goes down to the adrenal glands and he moves that leg. That is the indicator that he's sensing the fear. He's not scared. He is aware of that uncomfortable feeling that come with him last time when he was, knocked down. Let's be specific here, not knocked out, when he was knocked down by Deontay Wilder. So, and again, in the context, of course, he's going to be aware of those feelings. Of course, it would be normal to be linking them. I'm just bringing to your attention that that's why his leg moved.
Great performance. He did everything he was supposed to do.
And you said there was no body language in this video. Now again, this next clip that I'm going to show is around about what we're talking about Tyson's punch power. Is he going to go for the knockout? Is he not? That's something that I'll discuss maybe towards fight week. But when he starts talking about Deontay Wilder and Ortiz, he was losing the rounds, but he was going back calm, he had it, he was in control. Tyson offers, remember this is the data, Donald Cerrone done a video telling people how he had a habitual ritual, if you will, of vomiting, he was nervous, that's why he needed that first round to get into things, that's what Conor McGregor took advantage of. Tyson Fury says here, word for word, this is not me making this up, this is Tyson Fury's direct words, that when he goes a few rounds behind, he starts to go, in Fury's own words, Aah!
Conducting himself under pressure, like going back to the rounds, no frustration in the corner, like, I got it, don't worry. Respect for that. Because if I go a few rounds down, I'm like,
I was gonna...
I gotta get it back, gotta get it back.
Yeah, so, hey, I probably wasn't as high pitched as Tyson there, but you get the gist of it. Now, what's really interesting here from a body language perspective, from a self-belief perspective, from a visualization perspective, is that the words there, Tyson, to me, is like he knows he hasn't got that knockout power. That's why he panics when he goes a few rounds behind. What do you think? Let us know below. But that would seem a logical conclusion. The reason why Tyson panics if he goes a few rounds behind is he hasn't got that bazooka in the armory that Deontay Wilder can bring out. And if he does go behind that few rounds, or if he is practicing the knockout, well, why would that be a problem? Why is that some of the narrative that he's presenting here? Again, it's just these slight things that people do or say you can pick up on because they could mean nothing, but they could mean everything as well. And again, we get some more authenticity around Deontay's uncomfortableness, if you will, by him when he comes to do the face-off. And I'm going to play this clip and you'll look to see when Deontay Wilder comes up, about 5 steps before he gets to Tyson Fury, he looks down at the floor. He doesn't need to look down at the floor. There is no marker, there is no step, there is no curb, there is no nothing. It's because it is awkward, he feels awkward, uncomfortable. Let's call it uncomfortable.
Delivered back-to-back highlight knockouts, and recently showed his gentler side by visiting with Pope Francis, who named him the 2020 ambassador. He comes in with...
To look into Tyson Fury's eyes, and again, so this linked with before where he couldn't say something that was detrimental to Tyson, that Tyson could have perceived as negative. Put this together and you've got some evidence that actually in these situations, he's not that comfortable when it comes to my chest is bigger than yours.
The 2020 ambassador. The 2020 ambassador.
Do you see that he walks out of there, he looks down, there's no need to look down, apart from, oh, I feel a little bit awkward. And again, that looking, I work with boxers, I work with everybody, but some of the stuff we do with boxers is about handling that eye-to-eye situation, and I take this training into the corporate world to help adults to gain more self-confidence by controlling what I teach. It's called the inner voice. So here's a little example of me with adults doing exactly the same face-off technique that's taken from the boxing world and that I train my boxers in. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Brilliant, sit down, thank you very much. Honestly, it is a quirky technique, but it is hugely effective. Hugely effective for improving your self-confidence and also resilience in uncomfortable situations. But then we've got the face-off, where they actually come together. And again, who looks away first? Who's the strongest? Who will blink? I didn't see any blinking on here. But because if the lights flashed it up, there may be some blinking, I just didn't see any, I couldn't observe any. But what you also see here is when Tyson smiles, Deontay takes that as, I've won. Now, he might have been playing as soon as somebody's face moves, I win. Tyson may have been playing as somebody walks away, I win. But I'm going to show you the clip and then I'm going to just zone in on something that proves that one of them is feeling more heat than the other one.
42 wins, 0 losses, and 1 very famous draw. An amazing 41 of his 42 wins have come by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Tuscaloosa, Alabama, here is the undefeated WBC heavyweight champion of the world, the Bronze Bomber, Deontay Wilder. All right, you guys face off here on the stage. While you do that, I'd like to invite our two fighters to take their respective seats here. We'll get them to move to the throne. Don't make me have to break this up, boys. You gotta save February 22nd. We can only hope the fight is as good as the staring contest.
You are.
A nice smile there by Tyson Fury to end things. This pay-per-view is...
Said I lost, but he walked away. Come on.
Yeah, so there you go. And remember at the start off we were getting a few things. We were looking at the emotional baseline. It was so much below their emotional baseline in regards to blinking. Like, for 26 minutes they've sat there and they've talked and they've blinked away. Tyson blinks less than Deontay. But now they're face to face, it's like... Okay, so now we've got a thing called the Imposter Syndrome here. The Imposter Syndrome is something where you think you've got to do something, you think you've got to be someone else. Google it. But if it goes wrong, it can put too much stress on you. It can actually be detrimental to your performance. It can increase your stress levels. It can create adrenaline dumps. It can create cortisol surges throughout the body. So you've got this imposter syndrome, you've got this ego coming in, but right at the very end, you'll see Deontay Wilder takes Tyson's smile as a way of, haha, you lost. He then goes to him, but when he turns around, do you notice the trip? I'm just going to show you the trip again.
A nice smile there, smile there, smile there.
Now that trip is exactly what we get from an adrenaline dump. It's almost like when you're panicking, you'll hit the coffee cup, or you'll knock the vase over, or you'll kick the dog. That trip there is an indication that his brain was a little bit frazzled and he didn't have that what's called spatial awareness. Because of the other incidents where he looked a little bit subdued or uncomfortable or, not as confident as he could be, coupled with that trip when there was nothing there to trip over, he just tripped over his shoe. Deontay Wilder, we can take as not comfortable as Tyson Fury in those face-to-face situations. And this is not my opinion. Biology does not lie, people. But also a final thought about Tyson Fury. I'm not sure if he actually believes in his own punch power. I'm not sure if he will just disregard what has been so fantastic for him to this point in his career, that stick and move, and try to get that knockout in, because the body language sign is that he actually is unsure of his power potential as well. But again, when people say, oh, this was boring, yeah, it wasn't crazy, it wasn't exciting, it wasn't, there wasn't fireworks going off. But there was so much you could dig into from a body language perspective if you knew what you were looking for. I will be doing the final press conference and the weigh-in, etc. as it builds up. I'm sure True Geordie will be doing the live stream, so if you haven't done a live stream before with True Geordie and the guys, please have a look at his channel. I was on the Conor McGregor one, he's done many more, fantastic. If you want something different on the night, try having a look at True Geordie's channel. Remember, subscribe below and let us know if there's any other examples of body language that you'd like me to investigate. But more importantly, believe in Bruce. Be kind to yourselves and each other.